Good morning, everyone. We're live. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being patient with the late start. Hello. I know that there's been some bit of chitter on Twitter about wanting for us to get going, so here we are. Yep. So.
And here we are.
Yes, indeed. So, slight change to the format today. We're trying to maximize the amount of time, so we're just going to say brief morning. I'm just going to do brief introductions the whole way around, and then we'll do the in-character recaps. So Alexandre is being played by Chantal B. As you can see, everybody's got their Twitter handles stapled to the side of their pictures, so check out everybody you see on Twitter. Yes, that way! Drew Wilson plays Lucas Edgewater. Yep, Drew. Lucas is the knight errant, if you will, and big brother of the group. Alexandre is the wayward teen sorceress. In round terms. Then we've got Spider, played by Jamie, the younger brother and intrepid troublemaker of the Enterprise, and Chevalier, played by Sam, best described as the group's patient uncle.
How does Alexandre get away with not being called the troublemaker?
That's so good.
How does Lucas?
That's great. I like that I'm the big brother.
I'm just going to say, it's just PR, okay? It really is. She's just got PR.
Returning to deity.
Of course, I'm Michel Vaillancourt, the storyteller GM for the group. We are playing Open Legends. Check out them at the associated Google search, which is to say, just go to Google and type in the word Open Legend Gaming. You'll find it. It's great. So let's go around the table and real fast get everyone's recollections in character about the events of last session. So start with Alexandre.
We planned a lot, and then we decided that we were going to go and carry out the plan. Before that happened, La Chanson decided to do something unexpected and take us to a river, which, you know, there are nicer places to go. So
You don't say.
maybe we could go to one of those in future.
All the awkward.
Yes, and now, well, after that, Spider got thrown around, and Lucas is scared of me. So, yes. Now I'm just crying outside of a manor house.
Alexandre's new single available on Spotify.
I'm just going to. I was just thinking that. Are you playing the bard now? Just what? All right, Lucas. As the resident poet laureate of the group, what's Lucas's take on current events?
Well, we did a lot of planning in Alexandre's bedroom. She was
Sounds like
making
another song title too, doesn't it? Planning in the bedroom. I mean, crying outside a manor house,
Wait
planning
till
in the
you-
bedroom. I think we got a top. We got a gold.
We'll get the whole album out
Just we
tonight.
got a golden oldies group here happening. I mean, really. Keep going, Lucas.
What else was going on? Alexandre was making replications of many things. And then suddenly we all get transported to a nightmare. A river where firmly, I should say, imprinted in my brain of a tragic day. But everyone survived, which was great. And Jasper was okay, which is even better.
Yes.
And then What else? I wrote some, according to the plan of us going to this building, this place we're going to collect an urn, or Spider's going to go get the urn. We had to provide a distraction, so I decided to write some love letters in order to provide, well, enough reason for us to be there to accost the owner, the lord of the house, for writing these letters to a very forlorn and offended Lady Talia, played by Alexandre.
Right then.
Is there anything else you need?
I think that pretty much sums it up. Spider,
Great.
what's your take on the master plan? How are things going?
I have not felt so alive in years. Nah.
That's a good summary, actually. I think that gets it right there.
I'm standing upside down, carving a spider into a wall. How could it get any better than this?
Yeah. It's been a while since you've had a chance to leave your calling card somewhere, hasn't it?
That's it. Yeah, living nightmares aside, things are pretty good for me.
All right. Yeah, fair enough. Awkward inconveniences as they are, right? Okay. Chevalier. Thoughts on the entire process which has led you to this moment?
Once we had decided to take Equidian up on his offer to do this urn heist as a test, and we started to plan, it all seemed to go quite well overall. We were able to come up with what I believe is quite a good plan. Lucas, Alexandre, and myself would distract the guard for as long as possible, using a ruse of a jilted lover, or someone getting unwanted attention, keeping it unclear so that the guard could not, well, ideally would have to stay there confused while Jasper goes inside to steal the urn. And so far, I think it has been going quite well. Lucas having written these notes was surprising. It would have been nice to know in advance, but they seem to be working. Although he has now handed me this song that I'm supposed to now sing or read out. That doesn't seem quite well thought through, but I guess we will find out.
Right then. Okay, so we're actually going to start off because I just think that it needs to be a certain amount of gravitas delivered before Chevalier makes his singing debut. We're going to actually start out with Spider inside.
That's me.
Yeah, it is absolutely. So here's a fancy question for you. How much of a piece of artwork are you going to try and make this carving? Is it Right then. Okay. So
Is the white parts the bit that you carve, or the black parts the bit that you carve?
I presume it's easier probably to carve the fine lines than to try and carve out all that section.
Well,
so I
that
think
was
Not
actually
what I asked.
well, yes, because if you're going to do the entire thing in relief, I was going to suggest you might be there for a while, and I might actually want some kind
no,
of.
I look.
Depends what he's going for. If he's
Yeah.
talking about the spider in the negative space, then
Yeah.
Yeah.
I, Jamie, as not a professional carver or whatever, it would be the simpler version. I'm not looking to be there for, hours upon hours. Just a couple of minutes to carve a loose 8-legged.
Yeah, fair enough. No, it's just again with the arrogant. At the point, it was literally your arrogant thing. The question I had was if you were literally
Yes.
going to be such a brat as to do that in relief, because that's a minimum 5-minute job sort of thing. And I would just sort of think.
Yeah, Look, he's proud, but he's not stupid, and so I think it's about leaving the calling card, not about leaving, the most ornate version thereof.
Fairly good then. All right. So.
And I saw those faces you all made.
With some trepidation, thus, I think we shift we will shift them. So there's Spider very gently working with a sharp knife, working around the edges and producing this 30, 40 millimeter sized spider in the woodwork, leaving his calling card, as it were. So then we're going to pan back outside. As a reminder, you folks are in the Judiciary District. It's mid-evening. The party circuit will be starting right shortly soon for the city. So you're sort of in that in-between space where everyone's gone home for meals and naps, and then everyone's going to be taking to the street right shortly here to head over to the Gouverneurs District or down to the caravan docks or whatever for the evening's partying, because it's that month of the year. So I think this is an excellent time, given that background, to cut to Lucas reading poetry.
Of course. Lucas has written a bunch of letters, but I've got here 4 of them.
Off you go. Go ahead and read one.
I reckon he's
how many is a bunch? Wait, how many? What?
I reckon he's written about 15 all up. But he's
Alexandria can't cry for that long, so she'll stop somewhere in there.
Actually, he's got a wad of paper, all of it handwritten. So
well, he's not going to read them all. He's just going to choose select ones and just be like, "Here's one. Let me read this one to you."
Jokingly say a baker's dozen, and apparently I was already wrong. So.
So go ahead and read one of these sample letters, and this is the scene unfolding at the gate with this terribly patient and tortured poor dwarf on the other side of the gate, listening to you all very patiently going off, because he knows you're not coming over that wall, but at the same time he can't make you go away either.
Right, well, I'll just read them. Dearest Talia, this may come as a surprise, but I love you. Yes. You. All the affection I have laid upon your sister has been false. It is your heart I want. Will you take mine? Like a flower yearns for a bee, I open my heart for you to fly in and ravage my pollen. Take my sweet nectar and make love honey with me. I promise it will be as delicious as the expensive stuff we import from the south. I know you want it. Your sister did. Please accept this dozen jars of honey as a token of my sweet thirst for you. Eternally yours, A. Do you want to hear another one? Okay. Beauty Talia. A poem. ... I look at the moon and think of you, your bosom, your grace, your brown eyes too. You must see all so round, so huge. Do you look down and see me swoon?
The dwarf is beginning to look physically pained. If you keep doing that, I think I may actually...
How about this one? Lady, playing hard to get, I see. Never fear, a young buck like myself has the stamina to keep up. I have been known to run a marathon or 2 in my time, if you know what I mean. If not, ask your sister. I learned early on the heat of the chase is just as rewarding as the catch. She proved quite the bounty. Will you be difficult to rein in? I dearly hope so. Don't slow down, little vixen, by any means, unless you want to. Wink, wink. Regard your hungry bloodhound. And how about this one? This one's got quite a long poem in it. Dearest love, I wrote you another poem. I hope you will hold it close to your bosom, for that way, through this letter, I too hold you close to my heart. My tongue salivates to mouth your face lips. My eyes water proudly to gaze at the tints of your lashes that flutter with your epileptic fits. A seizure of love? Let me medicate it. Let me treat you with anticonvulsants so strong that you'll never more shake to the wrong kind of song. The kind that makes ladies behave far from fair. It's not a good look, hun. You don't want to go there. Where you want to go is to my embrace, where your eyes and that twitch that messes your face will be welcomed and adored without fear of disgrace. Your parents might hate you. Let my love take their place. Sincerely, A.
So I had to roll will on that. 'Cause it seemed kind of important that I do.
Rolling a willpower save at that point is plot appropriate. I completely agree.
That was a 6. I rolled a 16 on the first one. That was fine.
So you're not.
By the time we got to the by the time we got to the end, it was a 6.
Oh my gosh.
And also, here are the lyrics to a song, Chevalier.
Now, hang on. Keep in mind, everyone, that Chevalier is about approximately 7 foot tall, slightly more, or around 2 meters, is about the size of a scaled-up Terminator droid as portrayed by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and wears a kabuki mask, so he's completely faceless. This is the song. This is your songsmith. Carry on, Chevalier.
Yes. Thank you. I will. All right. In my eyes, I do believe you are all that's imperial. My feelings are not something that I would call ethereal. No words will I say impermanent, fleeting, or ephemeral. In truth, that I would go as far as say that they're perennial. Really, he used perennial. Okay. Your pose, your dress, your air of grace are all. Nope, I skipped ahead. I apologize. Even at a distance, I can see your gifts are liberal. Your pose, your dress, your air of grace, they all are quite amenable, but none compared to when I am able to look upon your face. I'm just going to read ahead because I'm a little concerned. Okay. At which point, all I can think about is when we will at last embrace. I mean, it's just. Okay. Oh, there's more. Your visage is the equal to of even my own handsomeness. It leads me to actions that could be called extravagance. Again, my feelings are not something I would call ethereal. In my eyes, I do believe you are all that's imperial. I'm not going to read more. It gets a little lewd. And I don't think anyone deserves that. Who uses patter for a love song? Why would, okay. Feels like this was done quite rushed. I get the impression that your master, well, he had an idea, he wanted the song to fit rather than writing a song that fit. This is what we're talking about.
The dwarf is looking at the lot of you like you've all collectively lost your minds. Just... What?
These letters and this song was sent to the lady.
Your master is an awful poet.
Apparently.
Lucas?
I'm so sorry, miss. I really, really am. What's your name again, please?
Alexandre.
Okay, Alexandre. I'll be sure to let him know you showed up and were suitably offended by his poetry. And honestly, I can't blame you. That's horrid stuff. So yeah, you lot run along. And I'll let him know. I suppose you're going to want to challenge him to a duel or something, yeah?
Yes.
You're going to want to challenge him to a duel, not him.
No. He will fight.
He'll fight. You'll cry. He'll stop singing.
Yes.
He'll fight. Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so you lot run along. What time should he show up?
Perhaps
Well, what kind of
sunset
time works
tomorrow.
for him?
What?
What is his schedule like?
I tell you, I'm not his secretary. I didn't even know he wrote songs. I just mind the gate when people like you show up and start singing.
Sunset
Does this
tomorrow.
happen a lot?
I'm sorry, I can't really comment on that. I'm not paid for that. So,
He's sending it to other people. Did you hear that?
What a cad.
okay, so tomorrow night at sunset, where?
Yes.
I don't know.
It's not much of a challenge, is it, if you don't know what's supposed to happen? Did you think this through?
Right here.
Okay, so you'll be back here tomorrow night at sunset.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, got it. I'm sure I can get that right.
Do you want the letters?
Now that you mention it, no. Mostly yeah, I don't even want to carry that. I'm not sure how you'd read that aloud. My gosh. So you lot run along. I'll go let him know what's going on. I'm sure he'll be thrilled. I'm sure his wife will be thrilled. And he'll be... You lot come back tomorrow.
Oh, we will be.
I think it would best behoove you to stand out here for a little while and just take in exactly what has been sent to me.
Honestly, if you're going to continue to stand here and keep talking like that, I'm more likely...
No, I'm leaving.
Oh, you're leaving? That's an excellent...
I'm leaving.
Okay, good.
Excuse me, before we do go, can you point us in the direction of some a nice food cart? We seemed, well, it's lunchtime, and in this area, any food carts?
Isn't it just it's nighttime, isn't it?
Just literally, it's after supper and before party. Yes, it's medieval.
right.
I specifically said that, and so but it's just
Right.
and so like I say, the dwarf who's just been pummeled with bad poetry and
late night snacks, you know, just to ease the tension and the temper that we all have at this awful poetry.
I can completely understand your circumstances. Yes, I'd be offended by that sort of poetry too. So, I think if you head down the street and first right, there's a nice little bistro that a lot of folks I know around here. I don't.
Down the first street or the second?
First
On the
first
right?
street and on the right. Yes, you can't miss it.
First street.
Has to have been enough time for me to be out by now.
And like just looking that way, I see a glimmer of spider running. I'm like, oh, I think it's that street. Okay, I can see it now.
I am going to ask Spider to make one.
Well, so here's the thing, right? The wall isn't turned off for me to get out.
Right.
So
This
the
becomes-
question is, do we believe this is the only guard on duty, in which case I'll just jump the wall? Oh, I mean, like I'll climb the wall. Or I can climb up to the roof and fucking swan dive and probably like injure myself, but you know.
Oh, well, you see, that's just it. So I'm going to need essentially your deception, a perception roll and a deception roll.
Yeah.
Extricate yourself from the building because, as I say, it's middle of the evening, family of 7 plus housekeeper.
I mean, if
So it's like-
get yourself in a position where we can see you, but like the guard doesn't, we can turn the wall off again.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I should roll perception, you said?
Yes, perception, and then if you...
And then like a stealthy moving roll, right?
Right.
Yeah. Remind me what happens if I spend a legend point? That I just...
You gain...
Advantage
Oops. My apologies.
It's just advantage 1?
Yeah.
per legend point.
Yeah, it's advantage 1 per legend point.
Well, then I'm glad I lobbied for that legend point. Let's spend it immediately since I'm out of mission points.
All right.
And I will take advantage 1 on the perception check here. Because I don't want to run into people.
Yeah, well, and that was just it, right?
That was definitely worth it because my advantage die exploded.
Oh. Oof.
Twice, in fact.
Oof.
Yay!
So that's 8, 16, plus 5 is 21, plus the d20 is 13, so 34?
Great Moustache and Bomb Squad Ellen pointed out that we also get +1
Oh, and a plus 1, so sorry, 35.
for each legend point.
I hear
That's insult on
the earth move under my feet.
I'm just going to say, let's just be straight up. A +1 on top of that mess is just insult to injury. Okay. Really? So, yeah, so for lack of, I mean, Spider, so there's going to be this remarkable moment of a door somewhere in the house, door opening, little girl trotting down the hallway with her stuffed manticore, going into her playroom, door closes, and then the camera is going to pan up and there's Spider pinned to the ceiling above her.
Holding and in one arm, just having an urn like tucked into his chest.
And she totally missed him. So give yourself a +3 on your agility roll.
And I get advantage for having skill thing, agility, whatever it's called. Very nice. 11 plus 12 is 23, plus 2 is 25.
Yeah, no problem at all. So you're going to find yourself essentially up on the roof. I'm also going to tell you that at one point there's going to be a brief cutscene where you're literally going to be seeing the sort of ghost of Spider moving through the house. You know, very ephemeral hints as the camera doesn't ever actually see Spider, just seems to be pointing repeatedly at empty patches of space, right?
And moving shadows.
Yeah, exactly. Where there's going to be a pause where the camera is, if you will, is going to be looking into a room, and there's another fellow, clearly elven in Ild, looking at what appears to be a mirror, which has got foggy edges around it, and is mostly not showing an elf, but rather showing a wall.
Oh no.
So that is what that monster perception roll of yours did. That is an epic.
Yeah, I found the viewing room.
You found the control room, as it were. So yes. So in point of fact, by the way, and I'm also going to tell you that there's equipment in that room for probably 4 guards. Like they've got loaded crossbows.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of,
crossbows hanging on the wall, ready.
yeah, I mean, we sort of knew that, right? And we were just assuming there'd be slightly less guards at night.
Yeah, no, it looks like he's got
something that Equidian told us.
Well, you knew the information you had was that there were 3. That there would be 3 guards on retainer. What you had guessed was that it would be 2 in the day, 1 at night. It looks like for whatever reason, it's actually the other way around. 2 in the evening. So now Spider can probably guess what that means. Is this whatever this guy is up to? Again, in the vein of, you know, watch walls are expensive. Paying for guards is expensive. Having 2 guards on a night watch probably suggests whoever owns this place is terribly worried about unexpected evening visitors.
I mean, yeah, he also had like a nightingale floor in front of this urn.
Well,
I mean, Spider's worked out that this is not what it was.
No, this is not
was advertised.
Yeah, this is not what was billed as. No.
Yeah. But I think he's like so confident in his abilities that he's okay with that. The question is here, do I try and take this guy out by myself so that no one, I don't mean kill him, I mean just like knock him out so I can jump the wall? Or no, because you guys, no. I think we stick to the original plan. And I think what we see is Spider like just after all those shots of like the bare shadows or whatever, it comes back to the front door and the guard in the middle of his diatribe about when to meet the master for a duel, and Spider just like walks out and just like shrugs from behind him, like holding the urn. He's like, And then he grabs the awning above the roof and just pulls himself up onto the roof and gestures round to the side of the building and like moves over to that side of the roof.
So literally you're going to, I mean, it's a bit of, it's maybe a 5-10 meter walk. So you'll see him come out of the building, wave, hold the urn up, pull himself up onto the roof, and you're all looking at the guard, trying not to look at him behind, I suppose is the answer.
Yeah. And so I'll move around like the side so I'm not like in direct line of anyone near the front door, but sort of near wherever Chevalier deactivated the wall for me before.
Right, around the back, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask, just because I think it's funny, I'm going to ask Lucas to make a perception roll.
Oh, here we go. Perception.
Just Lucas. Chevalier and Alexandria automatically will see Spider. Lucas, however, is all caught up in the moment, and I think it would be terribly funny if the circumstances were that he actually that he didn't see his brother, and now the other two have got to get him away from the front door.
Well, they definitely do need to get Lucas out of there because that's a 9. So
Lucas has no idea that Spider is done, and Chevalier and Alexandre saw him come out of the building, hoist the urn in victory, and yes. So now what?
So where is that burrito cart?
What?
What? Says the dwarf.
The cart. It's
you
on the right, further down.
It's not a cart. It's you asked for a restaurant.
It's a restaurant.
Yes.
Oh no, I want a cart. Is there one nearby?
I've had enough. Let's go.
No, I'm trying to find Alexandria. I'm trying to find the cart.
You don't need any more burritos.
That is not true.
You had some for breakfast.
I know.
What? Wait.
And
You don't need
Excuse
more.
me. Hello.
I can have burritos
You
for
had
any
10.
meal.
Excuse me.
Don't need more. Yes.
Before we go, can we get your master's full name? Just for our record keeping for this.
All we got in these letters is a letter.
What?
He only signed it with A.
What was your master's full name? We don't have a surname.
You don't have a surname. You
No.
Yes.
How did you get this address?
It was on the return address on the letter. If not delivered, please return to this.
Yes, it told us that the address was
Antonio.
And I'm going to
His
give
name
the.
is Antonio.
I'm going to
It
say.
does a little like.
That's not even the person's name that lives here.
That's just- I'm going to say, I want to say, yes, from the letters, we know that the address is, I'm going to give an address, which is not this house.
And there's going to be another. So he's going to proudly think he's got you all with deception and announce that his master's name is Antonio, and then Chevalier reads the wrong address. And there's going to be this ... moment. What address was that?
I repeat myself. Same address. It's like specifically on the other side of the area. Like it's not even close.
You're on Winter Street, not Summer Street. You're literally at the wrong end of the Judiciary District.
Are we?
It's the right season. It's not even the right season.
Jorge, you were told to take us to this address.
Wait.
I apologize for this. Clearly, there has been a mistake. We'll take our leave now.
What just happened?
Walk away crying.
But what just?
Before we go, if your master wants to practice with a duel, let me know.
I'll be sure to let him know. And we're gonna cutscene. So now we're around the back of the building, with Spider patiently waiting for the wall to stop watching.
No, I'm just like standing on the roof, like, juggling the urn backwards and forwards between my two. Yep.
Yeah. Once the guards like.
Yeah, he
not there, I
watches you
guess.
folks leave with an absolutely I need painkillers. Laudanum isn't going to cut this kind of expression.
He's thinking about how much alcohol he has on hand and realizing it's not enough. I'm just like,
And yeah, so he watches you folks leave, and once he's pretty sure you're not coming back, he eventually goes back in the house.
yeah. Once he's gone back in, I'll deactivate. I'll attempt to deactivate.
All right. So watch wall, power level 3.
That was a very satisfying rattle.
Yeah. Have you got a dice tray, Sam, or something
I
like
do.
that? Yeah.
And I'm very glad that dice explode because the initial roll was not enough. But I got 19.
All right. And your target number would be for power level 3?
16.
There you go. So again, you're going to have that moment where the
yes
Yeah, very nice. Oh, I like that. I keep thinking I want to get myself one of those.
goes into.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
very nice. So yeah,
Montel, I can see you thinking, I want one of them.
I've been wanting a wormwood for a very long time.
I'm sorry, fan moment here. Is that a wormwood? Is that actually a wormwood?
It is, yeah.
Wormwood.
It's
Of the U.S. wormwoods, yes.
Very
They did a thing a little while back where it was like, they had a sale, but like the kit comes with like the dice vault, and it all just collapses into itself.
nice. Very trendy. All
So
right.
I-
Resident Dice Goblin is very happy right now.
Excellent. All right. Yeah, because this is actually this is currently the only game I have that I actually get to roll dice in. So I've been sort of wanting to. Well, no, because all the other games I do are all.
Yeah,
It's in the era of CV19. We're using virtual tabletops and computer dice rollers and blah blah. So, yeah, I've been. And the problem is, of course, is that I have, between the production equipment here and the game equipment, I actually don't have a lot of space to be throwing a handful of dice into the air, unfortunately. So Dice Tower would be just aces. Yeah. All right. Stop bragging. Stop bragging.
Well,
So, all right. So you're going
whilst the dice goblin
Yeah.
rehabilitates,
Exactly.
I'm gonna climb over that wall.
All right. So no. Okay. That's. I mean, what you. I think you do. You
Well, I wonder whether I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't need to on the way in, but I wonder whether I do now that I'm holding an urn in one hand.
I think for reasons of plot peril, I think it makes perfect sense that, because obviously if you drop the urn, that's probably not a good outcome. So I think for reasons of
Yeah.
plot peril and one-handedness, I think it makes perfect sense that you would roll just to see if the dice bite you more than anything else.
You never know when the dice will betray you, huh? Oh wait, yep, exploding is good. Exploding is good.
Oof.
Oh no, it's still only a 15.
Only a 15. A 15 is still a heroic outcome. If I remember my nomenclature correctly. So, yeah, I'm going to say there's probably going to be a little bit of flailing at the top of the wall as you try not to, basically the job of hauling yourself over. But at the end of the day, I think you're going to be fine. So you'll be down amongst your friends, urn under arm, all is well. With suddenly an awful lot of yelling coming from the house, and you're not really sure why.
I believe we should make a quick exit, friends.
We should leave. Go, 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 go.
Yeah, and we scatter. Well, no, we don't scatter. We all just
Scatter?
get out of there.
Just leave.
All right.
We split the party 4 ways.
I think it's an excellent plan.
5 ways. What's in the urn? Is the person in the urn the 5th?
So, where to now?
We find like a baby or something in this damn urn.
The baby.
So, well, one of us needs to send a message to Rachel Gray to meet us.
So I'll do that. Is that?
That has to be at the our previous place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the catch, if you will.
How big is this urn that I've got?
It's actually fairly sizable. It's probably 30 centimeters tall, 20 centimeters across. Kind of a wine bottle, sort of almost an hourglass shape, only much thicker towards the middle.
So a little bit bigger than like a football.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What?
It's fairly heavy,
what
by
would
the way. Fairly
What would an urn of this size fit? What is inside this urn?
That is an excellent question.
we didn't get
Are you
paid.
going to break the wax seal?
We didn't get
want to know
paid to
what's
open it,
inside.
Alexandre.
But I want to know what's inside.
It's sealed. You really want to open the
Stole it.
seal on? What?
You stole it. I want to know what's in it. What did we steal?
But we didn't steal it for us.
But what did we steal?
I don't care.
I do,
We stole a safe place to hide.
which is great, but I want to know what's inside the urn.
Alexandre, if we break the seal on this urn and that is angering to Aquidian, he might not let us use the safe house that you were clearly very excited to see.
Yes.
We can ask him what's in it when we
Just
meet
had
with
to.
him.
But I just had to endure so much poetry.
You wrote poetry.
That
Oh, I
would have
did.
been nice to know. Very effective. I was very impressed.
It was awful.
Yes.
How are you two still alive?
Good awful.
I don't think I am. Maybe I'm a ghost now.
Dead inside.
Prior warning would have been appreciated.
You know, prior warning would have meant I was not there.
Could have run scales or something, you know. warmed up.
He made you sing.
Yes, he gave me music. He had done songs as well.
I hand all of the love letters to Spider and say, look,
I look at the song and I say, I remember when you wrote this.
I did not, excuse me.
Write a patter song. Why would you write a patter song?
Jasper, I may have written a love letter in my time, but not this one.
Well,
Well, I think it's safest if we all stick together at this point, and I hand the urn to Lucas.
ugh.
Okay, I will hold this urn.
So where are you off to now?
I think. I mean, you said it's 2 a.m. What would I expect to happen if I turn
I
up
did
at?
not say it was 2 in the morning. I said it was
Oh, sorry.
mid-evening.
Oh, okay. My bad. I thought you said 2 a.m. for some reason.
No.
Well, I do know that
We
there
was
is
through
a
the morning after the
burrito
meeting,
cart.
but we went back to
Oh, right.
rest
Yeah.
up, and get everything else ready.
Yes, and then
Yeah, I think the plan
it's now
is.
it's now the 4th, by the way. So it's
Right,
literally
yeah.
the evening after it's the evening of after the early morning meeting with Aquidian.
Yeah, that makes sense. We wouldn't have done that at 2 a.m. because it would have been less believable that people were making a fuss at that hour.
Right.
All right. Well, I think we head to the Blue Skies as a group to contact Rachel.
Okay.
We want to do something
How
with
about-
the urns. We're not just carrying it openly.
I'm going to tuck the urn into, just nestle it, just hide it.
Okay. It's
Where? It's
literally
relatively
the size
big.
of an American football.
Yeah, we don't have none of us are carrying bags right now, are we?
Well, I can't imagine you'd be all walking around town with backpacks on. No,
And then
it doesn't. seem big.
maybe we should head back to our lodgings first. Mm-hmm. Or I could go to the. That. You've already told me you don't want me going separate. I got it. It's all right.
You can go to the Blue Skies Inn, Jasper. In fact, it's probably a good idea if you do it and you do it alone.
Is everyone okay with that?
As long as you are careful.
Careful
It
is.
is risky.
Before that
Couldn't even
happened,
say it.
Couldn't even say it.
can I? Is there a way to see whether or not this is magical?
I don't know.
Is there
Yeah,
any
you-
magic involved in this urn?
Well, how would you suggest that you would be finding that out? How would you go about knowing that?
Riffing on the idea of everything to Alexandria's music, or everything magical has some sort of music to do with it, I would want to touch it and see whether or not it has any kind of vibration.
The best way of explaining it is that when you touch the urn, you hear the Imperial March theme playing.
Oh no.
And I don't mean politely either. It's
Oh no.
it's the Imperial March theme played on by the London Philharmonic turned up to 13. It's just almost overwhelming. The timpanis are great, by the way. Oh my gosh, they did a great job with the timpanis.
This urn sounds good, but maybe we shouldn't have it.
What did you hear?
Lots of music and it doesn't sound good.
Okay. Well, maybe
How can music sound not? I mean, like, you mean it was just bad?
It sounds angry.
like bad like my poetry or bad like
No, nothing is bad like your poetry.
okay.
So more like bad, like our sister.
Yes,
That's a hell
actually.
of a frame of reference, isn't it? Bad like your poetry,
Yes.
bad like your sister? What?
Bad like. Definitely bad like your sister.
I look at Jasper and it's like, that's pretty bad.
I think actually that moment and that framing of that very somber face is where we're actually going to cut for a break. I need to. And then we will teleport you guys back to the. Over the break, you'll make your way back to the to the inn where you're all staying, and we can sort out how you're going to get word to Rachel. So, all right, folks, stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of the delightful, whatever this is, of Unlawful Disorder. So
Variety.
Chaos, Michelle. Chaos.
Oh, this is fantastic stuff. So we'll be right back after a couple of quick ads and a chance for me to refill my coffee mug. I can't stream without coffee. Be right back. Alrighty, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody else in the audience, thank you. Appreciate you letting us have a moment to refill our mugs and all the other happy stuff. So, about the thing that was just done. So now what's the thing you're gonna do?
We're back at the inn, aren't we?
Yes.
The discussion was whether I'm going to the Blue Skies while you guys go back to... Is it the Winter Crystal? Is that where we're staying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
On opposite sides of town.
Well, just gonna say it's it's a couple of kilometers at least, and as I've commented, the nightlife in this city, particularly during the spring flood period, is ridiculous. It comparable to a good night to a good festival night in Shining Capital, quite honestly. Anybody who's going to be out on the street right shortly now. Interesting enough, by the way, your random historical piece of trivia for in Italian Renaissance Italy, it wasn't uncommon for everyone to get home from work, and then the jet set, as it were, to take a nap from about 4 o'clock until 8 o'clock in the evening, get up, have supper, and immediately go out and party until midnight. And that was just, if you were anybody, that's how sort of things ran, and that's sort of the pattern I'm following here for this.
Great. Well, we do that. How about Jasper? You know this city. You've already scoped it out.
Most
What's
bits, yep.
What's the safest way for us to get back to the crystal?
Cool. Let me just have a look at the map. Honestly, probably just getting lost in the crowd. Go through the market and head down through the Lake of Ancestors. Maybe you'll just run into someone we know and you can finish the job. But otherwise, I'll get a message through the Blue Skies.
The
Very
problem
concerned by
at the
this
moment,
urn.
for one, I do not exactly blend into a crowd.
Yeah,
But-
as the GM, I have to admit there's been a part of me that's been watching all of these hijinks and trying to figure out between Chevalier's size and Alexandre's presence how it is you intend to remain functionally anonymous.
There is no way.
We never
It's still what
assumed-
Spider would say, because
We
that's how he would do it.
I mean, the gag was, between the 7-foot-tall ancient war machine and Alexandre. Alexandre draws the attention.
Yeah,
But I am eyeing the floor that I recently renamed "Not Built for Subtlety."
not built for subtlety. Yeah,
So-
that's a flaw.
I have an
What
idea.
I would, and
Yes.
I would defer to your expertise for this. In terms of going to the Blue Sky, obviously at night with the crowds, there is more to blend in, but it also gives the people looking for us more of an opportunity to move about freely. During the day, while there are less people, the people after us would also be more visible.
I am confident in my ability to get there and back without being spotted. I am not confident in your, like, as you say, to not be spotted.
I do not think if we were doing this at night, I feel it would be easier for a smaller group, potentially even just yourself, if that was what you were comfortable with.
I don't mind going
here.
to give the message. I'm just worried about leaving you all alone.
I feel like we are quite capable of taking care of anything that comes up. Should
Yeah,
be a
well,
problem.
I mean, worst case, Alexandra can just drown them all in a river, I suppose.
Okay, I have a idea. Alexandre, you're ability to replicate things. Can you do it to this urn?
Ooh. Hang on, says the GM as he desperately tries to figure out how that fits in his plot.
Not well for us is the answer.
I feel like
I could-
without looking, I feel like my meta answer is probably not. But
I could probably make one that looks like it, but I cannot make the sounds that it's making.
That is okay. That's fine. My suggestion is that we make 4 copies, or 3
Why?
copies, and we each have one.
I have a serious concern that there is some way for someone to track the one that we have. Why would we want 4?
At least we can separate. The chances of them
Separate?
catching one of us and us having the right one is lower. It's an idea.
Again, if there is one that is singing that could draw someone closer,
I mean, you might be the only one hearing it. It's an idea. It doesn't have to happen. It's fine.
Honestly, not a bad idea, but I imagine it will take too much time for us to do now. I'm gonna
Yes.
go.
about 30 minutes.
Yeah, I could be there and back again in that time. So let's just.
Okay.
stay safe.
Right. You too.
Jasper. Stay safe.
Yeah, and I just like disappear into a crowd.
Before he does,
Yep.
I would like to just sort of tap him on the shoulder and cast Bolster.
Ooh, and what does that do?
It bolsters his chances of success by inspiration, augmentation, divine blessing, or supernatural insight. So he just becomes more competent, and I'm going to bolster his agility. So he would automatically get advantage 1 if he needs to make some kind of a stealth.
Wow,
Roll.
very tidy. Okay, what role? Do you have to make any roll to associate with that?
I do. 'Tis a boon.
Tis a boon. Do the boony thing.
I'll do the boony. Five.
Ooh.
24.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, there's. So, Spider, the only thing I can say is that basically you get a moment of hype music, is the best way of explaining the sensation.
It's a theme song.
And yeah.
Spider-Man. Spider-Man hides in the crown like he can.
That's not quite.
Is he seen? No, he's not. He's really good, a little hot shot. Look out. You can't see Spider-Man.
That one was off the cuff, Sam, man.
And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We've done for this week. I can't top that. So
That's why we pay him the big bucks.
You can find me at Drew Wilson.
all right. So yeah. So for lack of a better way of putting it, Spider, you've got an impending sense of invulnerability.
Adrenaline shot. I'm into it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right. And yes, in point of fact, under the policy, if there's nothing to roll for, we don't roll. I am going to ask you to make a your in and out roll, as it were, for.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah. So I need you to make a perception check when you basically it's the trip over is uneventful. You're just taking the high road or the low road as you please, moving practically like a ghost. But yeah, it's when you get there that I need you to make a roll.
So perception.
A perception roll followed by however you intend to come and go.
Yeah.
Basically, the question is, do you spot it, and does that imperil your second roll?
Okay. Well, my perception was only a 13. And then I roll agility. Because I think I'm gonna do as I did before. You know, like I didn't see people watching this place last time we came. Sorry, I'm looking at my dice. That's why I'm not looking at the camera.
Yeah, should.
I didn't see people watching it before, but that doesn't mean they wouldn't be now, even if I can't spot them. So I'm gonna do the same thing I did before and try and go in through the high road, through an open window or something,
Yeah,
and
makes
then
sense.
and then if I don't spot anything inside, I'll walk out the front door.
Right.
All right, so I have advantage 2 for this.
Nice. What ludicrous roll this time? I recognize that expression.
It was going to come to bite us eventually. I'll be right back, but I rolled an 8.
Oh,
You rolled an 8 with advantage.
He rolled an 8 with advantage.
we said
Oh boy.
stay safe.
You gave explicit instructions.
Instructions.
I even tried to help with magic. Maybe he thought himself too. Maybe I shouldn't have done that.
The one
Through the
time
front
we let him
door.
go off on his own.
8 with advantage. I cannot begin to understand with okay, so he had advantage 2. So that means he's rolling.
Ones and twos.
46. Take the highest 2. And a d20.
That's pretty spectacular. D20, yeah, all right. D20 and 4D6 and came up with an 8.
Holding the urn.
I'm just going to say,
No,
I'm just going to say, walking in with the urn balanced on his head, and everyone's looking at him, going, "What's that music?" That's the only thing I got for that.
Why is there boss music playing?
Oh no.
And why is there a stash of healing potions right by the door?
That's for these chest high walls.
So I just want to make sure I heard you right there, Jamie. You told me that on 4d6 and a d20 you managed a total of 8.
Surely we cut away to the other characters.
We just
No,
continue
we
to talk about
just
you.
riffed on how that was doing it.
That is high time.
I'm sorry,
left
my
us with
cat
that.
was literally yowling outside my door. Even if you guys couldn't hear it, it was
that-
very distracting.
Yeah, I
I had to
can imagine.
feed.
But just sorry, the moment where you just walk off the screen, so the rest of us are going.
Yes,
What-
you are correct.
Sorry. By what?
On the D20, I rolled a 2, and the highest I rolled on 4D6 was a 3, and so it was a grand total of 8.
That's there's harsh and then there's that roll. Okay. So all right, and that's for you coming and going unseen. So I'm going to say
Yeah.
that you juggling the urn as you moonwalk in the door of the place.
I don't have the urn. I gave it to Lucas.
Yeah, okay.
Lucas has the urn.
Fair enough. But you know, you strolling in and yo, barkeep, call Rachel, or whatever that disaster of a roll amounts to. Just that doesn't.
Well, I think it's just that, like if I had walked in, I think I might have been better than what happens, which is that I go
It's
for the
gotta be
window,
like
probably
you tried to
break
get
a
in-
pane, hurt my elbow, shout in the. Yeah, it's just like everything that could go wrong, right?
Tried to go in through some stealthy thing, but ended up creating.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, there was someone in the room that I came into, and
Yeah,
they,
I think the only reason they didn't chase you out was they were in the process of taking a bath or something. So it's spider rolling through some. It dives in a window and there's some buff chap in a bathtub going. Wrong window, reaching for the broadsword beside the the spider back out the window, down through another window, back inside.
Yeah, like you try 3 windows, and each time you get the same person.
Not quite that bad, but so I'm going to say, unfortunately, yeah, I'm pretty sure that you've been seen. I think you've been seen. I think that's what that roll
Yeah,
means.
I think-
However, you are able to get to. I'll actually ask you to make a perception check while you're chatting with the bartender. Actually.
Oh, that's very generous of you. I'm happy to let my 13 ride. I think it's appropriate.
It's for a different. The 13
Okay.
is basically to find out if you were able to. The initial setup about is this place being scoped, blah blah. What I'm actually getting into is to check to see if there are essentially if you realize the ramifications.
Well, in this case, it's a 15.
A 15. All right, that's
Very
easy.
slightly better.
So, do you remember in one of the latest Star Wars movies, there's that moment where Rey is climbing up and in the background, and oh gosh, I can't remember his name. The black character is talking to Han Solo, and they're trying to have a serious conversation, and Han Solo keeps doing this. That's pretty much the moment between you and the bartender. It doesn't take you 5 tries before you realize to check over your shoulder and realize there's a guy literally in a red and gold cloak, leaning, kind of tankard in one hand, dagger sort of out like this, watching, squarely staring at you. And Spider would know that red and gold cloaks tend to be worn by professional bounty hunters. That is sort of the we're in town on business. You swagger in if you do not wish to, if you're not in the mood to pick a fight, or if you're there to...
And of course, this is the one time I'm not disguised as well, because I've come straight from the job.
Right, exactly. So he's just...
Do I know this guy? I feel like I know this guy.
Do you have a reason you would know this guy?
I mean, if he's a bounty hunter out of Capital, then I would have met him before.
You know something? Hang on a second. I'm going to throw some dice. Do me a favor and throw 2d6. Tell me if you roll any ones.
I rolled a 2 and a 6.
A 2 and a 6. That's actually a positive outcome, the way I do things. So I'm an old school Champions player, for those of you who do not know. And so what I tend to do is use the Champion's body system of 1s and 6s to determine essentially fate outcomes. Odd coincidences. So 6s are a +2, are a positive outcome, 1s are a negative outcome, and I sort of figure out, is the total outcome positive or negative? So as it worked out, I rolled a 6. So that means we have a double, essentially a positive outcome. Yeah, you do know this fellow. He is, in fact, from Shining Capital. One sec, I will paste his name into chat.
Which chat? There's so many now.
The Twitter chat, Twitch chat.
Okay. How do I pronounce that before I get it wrong?
Tross.
Tross. Okay.
Shatterstone is a nickname. He's got, as in, has a punch that will shatter stone.
Yep, that makes sense. Yeah, I look at him, I look back at the bartender, and I say, "Get that message to Rachel if you can." And then I just walk over to Tross.
And the look on Drew's face. You're doing what? Okay.
This is what it's like, Drew.
This is some of your medicine, man.
So no longer can I be told that I am the one, the risk taker here.
So
You're not there.
No, apparently it runs in the
I have a
family.
good relationship with this guy. I just rolled dice for it.
You have a relationship with
A
him.
relationship. You know him.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just going to say it's 50-50 odds whether or not you know his nickname directly. So as you start walking over to him, he actually very deliberately sets the knife on the table ahead of him, waves at a serving boy going by, points at the chair beside, and when you get there, there's going to be a tankard of ale waiting for you when you arrive, and he's going to be sipping at his mug.
I sit, but I do not drink. We've been down that path.
I think
There's that moment where Spider looks at it and just puts it down next to it. In town on business, Shadowstone.
always on business, Spider. You know me. What brings you back here? I figured when the rest of the gang suggested I stake this place out, I told them they'll never go back there. They're just not that stupid.
It's a long story, but some people are very difficult to contact outside of very specific locations.
Passing messages via the bartender, huh?
An oldie but a goodie.
Oh, isn't it though? So, I tell you what, roll me 2 more d6, tell me if you come up with 6s and 1s. Does this guy have a reason to like you?
It was a 3 and a 5, so no.
I rolled both a 6 and a 1, which is a neutral outcome.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, freak show here, right? So he looks at you and says, so if it wasn't for the fact I really like the ale here, it's probably about the only reason you're going to walk out the door, just so we're clear.
That's understandable. Would you be able to do me a favor before whatever goes down?
I'm not sure why I'd want to do you a favor unless there's something you can do to even the table up. We are at best adversaries right now, right?
What did they say that I did?
I annoyed someone enough to make you worth money.
Just one of those, eh? No details kind of job?
As a... He laughs. Pauses for a moment. Actually, and he's going to rummage through his backpack. Oh, sorry, not backpack, but essentially a hip bag, right? And he's going to take out a folded piece of paper and drop it on the table in front of you. The ale's really good. You'll want to drink up, particularly when you're reading that.
Yeah, I look at the ale again, but then I like open it one-handed, keeping an eye on him.
So it is straight up the wanted poster. It is...
Yeah.
Like there's literally a piece where you can see it was ripped off of whatever board it was harpooned to.
And all it says is like crimes against the Confederacy or something, right? It's been a while since I saw it.
Yeah. Hang on a sec. I've actually got it on the World Anvil site. Let me find it. And just straight up. In fact, and I'll point this out to you again. It's probably the most I don't know. Awkward thing about it is that there's no information. The Confederacy is incredibly precise about why they want people apprehended. Usually part of the law and enforcement is this mentality of a good character assassination as part of the prosecution, and so usually you'd expect this litany of crimes. Detail. Yeah, the fact that it fits on one piece of paper is kind of a what? Yeah, for lack of a better word.
And it only details the three of us, right? Me, Alexandri, and Lucas, and then it says, and all possessions of...
Well, it's and property. Yeah,
I just put it into chat.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, here we go.
Yeah,
one of the crimes against the Confederacy for immediate arrest, trial and incarceration, Ingrid Lucas Edgewater, Alexandre Donadieu, and property, Jasper Kilcare, a lawful reward of 180 gold marks are offered. Interesting. Okay.
Now, just for perspective, 180 marks would basically keep a five-person squad living a good life for 3 months at an inn like this.
Yeah, so it's above our wealth level right now, certainly.
Someone has thrown a ridiculous amount of money at the... The Confederacy has thrown a ridiculous amount of money at your apprehension. But as I say, what's baffling about this is that crimes against the Confederacy is the same thing as made toast on a Tuesday. I mean, what that means nothing.
Yeah. But not to a bounty hunter who wants to make money.
All they care is that the Confederacy's got a poster out. And there's 180 gold marks on the bottom of it. That is the bottom line.
Yeah, and so I look up at him and I say, I really didn't know what trouble I was getting into stealing those lovebirds out of the city. You see, the thing is, Shadowstone, this, and I jam my finger in the middle of the piece of paper where it says "and property," and I say, these people don't care about me, and I don't care about them noble brats. I'll tell you what, but she stole something, I reckon. As soon as I heard about this, And he like shakes the piece of paper. He said, I've been waiting for an opportunity to run into someone just like you. Someone with a friendly face.
And am I a friendly face, he says. He holds up a finger. Keep in mind, Spotter, before you talk too much. You and I have been playing this game. You and I have been playing this game at different tables for a long, long time.
No. Friendly enough to maybe want 180 gold marks rather than my neck in a noose.
Mm-hmm. I'm listening.
I can take you to where the others are holed up. You and whoever you're with.
Tell you what. How about we go one better? Because, you and I both know that arrows aren't the only way to kill somebody, right? So, how about you give me an address and just don't be there for the next 2 hours? If it all works out, meet me back here. I'll cut you in on a share. Out of my pocket, just in my own personal gratitude. I know my teammates would be terribly happy, and I don't have to have seen anything. And that way, I don't even have to tell anybody else how it is we found out. It's just you can just vanish, go back to doing whatever it is you want to do. That's an even favor, don't you think?
Can I make a perception check to see if this guy's for real about it?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. It's going to be an opposed roll.
Yeah.
So,
Because I don't know whether he's lying or not. So
yeah, exactly. And so, what do you think? It's going to be a deception roll, quite obviously.
Yeah, perception says sense ulterior motives, catch a gut feeling. I feel like it's in that S sort of area.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's gonna. So 28. Not a great roll for him.
A 9.
Would you believe you tied with him?
Oh wow! Of course.
So, but interestingly enough, it's meter beat is the way Open Legend works. So a 9 on a 9 means you actually have. He's the best way I can put it. I'm going to say because both of you rolled so badly. Ultimately, I'm going to say he seems mostly sincere. I mean, yeah, there's sort of that Spider, of course. There's an element of you can't really trust anybody eventually, but at this point he seems mostly sincere.
Yeah. I definitely I'm not telling the truth. I hope that my other players know this too. Spider's not going to do this thing. But the problem is, he's given me an offer where if he said that, what I'd do is give them an address, I'd walk out the door and disappear. But he'd know that, and that feels like a trap. And so I got to work out what the next step from there is. Cut away to the other characters while I work out what I'm doing.
Moment, yes, completely oblivious to what's going on. So, what are you three talking about back at because it's going to be a half hour, 40-odd minutes because he's got to hike 2.5 kilometers, basically during party time in the city. So, what are you three up to for the duration?
Alexandri is staring down that urn.
It seems to be.
Lucas is like trying to hide it as much as he can.
It is singing at me.
Stop listening.
It's very loud.
Then cover your
Interesting enough,
ears.
actually, Alexandri, for lack of a better way of putting it, if you don't pay attention to it, it ignores you. It's when you start focusing on it in any capacity whatsoever that you start hearing that unhappy music. Ominous, we might call it. Ominous music. So if you just ignore it, it goes away.
I wonder if they're walking in time with it.
I wonder if. Wait, stay there. And she's gonna leave the room and then start thinking about it.
No,
Is it just within view?
just within view. I mean, I suppose if you want to roll a ridiculously high prescience or something like that, but no, but for it to just quote casually happen, you've got to be able to actually see it. You have to be able to make
Okay.
eye contact with it.
Eye contact with this urn. Lucas, I want to know what's inside it.
No, we can't open it. Jasper said no. And of course, I mean, I kind of agree with him. If we give them back this urn and it has been broken, then it's kind of not what we promised. Well, it's
What did we
definitely not
promise?
what we promised.
To get the urn. Didn't promise not to look inside it.
Ourselves as useful.
I'm sorry?
The whole point of the exercise is to prove ourselves useful to Aquidian, so that we are worth his help. Now, there is a chance that we open the urn and it does not matter. He does not mind. And if the situation were different, if we were not pressed as we are, maybe it would be a risk worth taking. But I think at the moment, given how much I believe we need his help, we should play it safe. Now, by all means, we can ask him when we get it, express the concern even. But let's give him the urn as we found it.
Sorry, Alexandre. But maybe we can always, when we do hand it over, we can ask. At least they might say yes and tell us what's inside.
Whisperer of the Wild.
I was wondering if you were going to do that.
The difficulty is like the yes/no question.
Yes, the issue is the quality of the question.
Okay.
Quality of
What
the
is inside the urn? Yes.
How could yes be inside the urn?
Yes.
No.
The awkward.
Is it safe to give Aquidian this urn?
Again, with those carefully worded, but possibly not quite carefully enough questions. Yes.
That's good enough for her. I don't trust it.
Well, maybe
Don't
we
trust
can...
much about. Sorry, you go. I interrupted.
No, I was going to say maybe you can learn to.
What?
Well, trust can be built, can't it?
Well, I don't know what's inside it.
Well, if it doesn't hurt you, then surely it can be trusted.
But the music that's in it isn't good.
Well, maybe we just... Who's got a bag? Let's wrap it up. Let's hide it. Let's put it in the corner
Put a bag
where
over
we
his
don't
head
need
and
to
call
see
it
it.
safe? What?
That's. Then it is just an unsafe thing in a bag.
I mean, at least it's not right in front of us.
All I have to do not to hear the music is not think about it.
Great. Then don't ever think about the urn.
Because that's going to.
Do you understand what happens when you say don't think about something?
No. Usually, if I say
Don't think
about
about your underwear.
it. Okay.
What are you thinking about?
The urn.
What? What?
I'm thinking about the urn.
Why are you thinking about the urn?
Well, you told me not to think about my underwear.
Well, you're thinking about your underwear now.
No, I'm thinking about the urn.
You're thinking about your underwear, and you're trying not to think about your underwear by thinking about the urn. Can you hear the music?
Michelle, can I hear the music?
That's a fancy question, isn't it? I think I'm actually going to ask you to make an entropy roll. And that's probably...
Entropy?
I think it's probably a giveaway. But anyway, yes, go ahead and make an entropy roll. I believe for Lucas that's a flat D20, but strange to
It is. There's definitely
things have
nothing.
come at a flat D20s in the past.
That's a nat 20.
That's what I thought you were going to do.
That explodes, doesn't it?
Absolutely it does.
That's a 35.
It's so classic Lucas.
It's amazing.
That's Lucas down to the ground.
I was just going to
Wow.
wow. So, for lack of a better way of putting it, as soon as Alexandri asks you, it's sort of like Lucas had left the radio off. And so just mentally, okay, well, let me find out. Mentally, turn the radio on, wiggle the knob, and yes, you can hear it. It's distant. It's like you're listening, like I tell you, it's the Imperial March as played by the London Philharmonic. It's just that they're in the building next door and the window's open.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Does it sound like this? Bum, 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 ba bum, bum, ba bum.
yes.
Okay, that's enough. We can't. That's
Bum,
fine.
bum,
Oh, God.
Seriously, I was joking earlier in chat about getting taken down for copyright infringement. But...
Do not mess with the House of Mouse.
Yeah, that does sound ominous.
Yes.
Can we wrap this urn up, please?
Why can you?
I want to think about my underwear.
Tragic moment where all he can think about is the urn.
I'm sorry, just to be clear, what he just described, he is hearing, that was correct?
Why are you hearing it?
I don't know. That sounds nothing like when you use
No,
the song.
no. That's why I'm concerned.
Chevalier, can we please open it?
See? Shall you please?
Please.
If this gets
just-
another faction angry at us, I am going to be very unimpressed. Both of you.
I'm actually going to
Both of you will leave until we know this is safe.
I'm going to press pause on the scene right there to address something that's going on in the chat. So I've just been blindsided by a channel rule that no one told me existed, which is that apparently if folks want to redeem 5,000 wibbly-wobs or whatever they are, that somehow there's a mechanical benefit to the group. I didn't know this was a thing. So now the thing is to
They're called story threads, Michelle.
Yes, wibbly-wobs, as I said. And so here's the thing. I know enough about the Savage World system to know that a floating Benny is supposed to be essentially a group benefit, and 5,000's a big number. Takes a while to accumulate. So I'm actually going to create a category called group legend, and that's where that point is going to go. So the group, there is a group legend point available now. The only thing I'm going to say is it cannot be spent without group consensus. In other words, everyone has to agree that it is a, excuse the expression, plot appropriate point to use it. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Now I need to use some of my wibbly-wobs to re-unlock not appropriate, just so that I can... We're not allowed to use them on our own games, I know.
We're not allowed to use them on our own games. That is.
But I can unlock the plot appropriate emote for myself. And damn it in chat.
Hang on a second. So how am I going to do this? Group legend. So,
I mean, it's kind of like the floating advantage before. I've got a note of it.
yeah, and that's exactly how I'm going to treat it, is, quote, group legend. Because I think pools are interesting because of the dynamic it unlocks within the group.
And it sort of echoes our Twists of Fate from season 1 as well.
And that's exactly what I was thinking, is this sort of collective idea, because that is a theme that, for better or for worse, Fate has taken an interest in this group. For better or for worse. So
Some entity is looking down upon us and going, yeah, I'd like to do, them. That's the one.
Yep, exactly.
Make them be better.
Some entity is saying, you know what would be really funny?
Someone's looking down upon us and going, oh, they need all the help they can get. Oh,
This would be hilarious if we just go.
Okay, so I'm going to be a brat. I'm going to ask everyone, because I think this is a fantastic thing that Eric does. I'm going to ask everyone but Chevalier to take your headphones off until I wave at the screen.
Okay.
Wow. Wow.
All right.
Okay.
So, at this point, it's just you, me, and the audience.
And an urn.
And an urn. So let's talk about what Chevalier's up to. Are you going to open it? Or are you just going to let the other two say, are you just going to say, yeah, I looked inside, there's nothing but sand?
It's really weird. I sealed it. Great. Don't worry about it. Well, essentially, he didn't want to do it like, getting bad vibes from it is one thing, but the fact that Lucas heard the song as well is unprecedented as far as Chevalier is aware. Mm-hmm. Certainly, like, the song's been very different with Alexandre than it was with Elena. But at the same time, it's like that's the part of him that made him sort of go, oh, okay, maybe we do actually need to check this, because that could be a bigger problem. Or, but not knowing what it was, he was just like, well, let's let them go outside. But he is going to. It's got to probably be that thing where he's sort of like just staring at the end, going, would have a much more stern look on his face if he had expression. Probably slight eye movement. But then, he's gonna. Is it just like, how is it sealed? Is it like a wax seal, like a lid or something? Or?
So I will ask you, and this is where I'm going to need a moment, because the go-to here would be Arcana. So I need to figure out what the equivalent of arcane knowledge is. I think It's probably.
Probably still learning.
I think it's going to be learning. Yeah, I'm actually.
Yeah, arcane magic is listed under learning.
Yep. So yeah, learning roll. So let's start out with a learning roll and go from there.
Oh, okay. 19.
A 19. Okay, so there's a couple of things that you're going to notice upon looking at it. It's not wax. It's obviously, for lack of a better, well, okay, it is wax, except. So it's a religious quality beeswax. All right, so it's been like clarified 3 or 4 times. There is what looks to be a braided thread that runs through it. Improbably, it doesn't seem to have a start or finish. It looks like it looks like a continuous braid, which is incredibly difficult to do. There is a black thread, a green thread, and a red thread. And there are little flecks of silver mixed into the wax. Chevalier doesn't know much about magic, but straight up, that looks like the kind of shit that Elena used to get into when she wanted to make sure that the thing wasn't crawling out of the basement.
Yeah, okay. Suddenly a lot less inclined to muck with. Glad the D6 exploded. That would really...
Glad the D6 exploded. There's
Yes.
a quote du jour.
Me too, yeah. Still would have been. Yeah, he probably sort of, when he sort of picks it up and his hand sort of hovering over and then notices all this and he's just sort of staring at it a bit more and tries to examine it a bit closer. Is there anything like apart from the seal, is there anything else on the urn or is it just like this
It's a
plain
beautifully
looking...
decorated. It's a beautifully decorated piece of ceramic. Definitely not human in construction. Your guess is, I mean, I don't know how much you know about the Ebon Elves, but ultimately the color palettes based on the skin colors you've seen, the eye colors you've seen, the hair colors you've seen, I think he could probably think it might be Ebon Elf. Definitely, it's definitely not Confederacy. Let's just start with that.
Yeah.
You're not even sure that it's human in terms of the way it's sculpted. It's a deep glaze coating over it. It's basically a piano finish in terms of the quality of the glaze. It's a gorgeous objet d'art.
Yeah, I'm immediately rethinking opening it, and I'm going to just think better of that action. Because my feeling at this point is whatever is giving that uncomfortableness to the other two is not the urn, it is the contents. And if it's gone to this, if that kind of effort has gone into sealing it, we're going to leave it like that. I'm going to assume whoever did that knew what they were doing.
You think possibly someone had some sagesse in this, eh?
I mean, it would have been nice to some kind of indication, but at the same time, then people would know and.
Yes,
Yeah.
you never ever paint the big red button.
Yeah, don't make it interesting.
Yeah, don't paint the big red button red, and don't ever put the sign "Do Not Touch" on it. I mean, that's just the rules.
But I think I will, go bring the others back in.
All right.
Hello.
So Chevalier, explain what it is. Explain what it is when you summon the other two back into the room. By the way, no loud whomps were heard, and none of the furniture seems to have been disturbed.
Yeah, he sort of tells you, calls you out to come back in. And you sort of walk in. He's just sort of still holding the urn. It's clearly not been opened. Upon closer inspection, I am starting to think that whatever is producing this uncomfortable music is not the urn itself, but is instead the contents of the urn. Whoever sealed this urn put a great deal of effort into making sure it stayed sealed.
Is there a tiny orchestra in there?
No. I'm going to go with no. Think of the music as metaphor, perhaps. My suspicion is that whatever is inside this urn, that is a problem that we do not want to release. It seems like it was kept inside for a reason. I cannot hear what you're saying. I apologize.
Why are we giving it to a Quidian?
We have no reason to believe that he intends to open it. In fact, the reason he could want it back is so that no one else is tempted.
I mean, it's been sitting there for a long time, and now we've just taken it. And we're going to give it back to him.
Maybe they didn't know that it was,
That is possible.
holding something.
I'm going to show them, like, point out the things in the seal.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead
Then
and
it's
explain to
like-
them what it is they see.
So within the seal, which has been very well done, one of the most prominent things is there's clearly a braid going through it that appears to have no beginning or end. And then there's also, like, everything about this looks like it was, and as he's explained, it is the sorts of things you would do when you were magically sealing something to stop something from getting out.
How do you know this?
Years of experience. And I have traveled with some very interesting people. Much smarter than I in these areas, but, well, you pick up a few things.
Did Gromer see something like this?
Elena has helped make something like this. This, if Elena did not want something to escape, this is exactly what she would use.
I still want to open it.
I think that's an excellent moment to cut back to Spider. So, Spider, what's the cunning plan? You mastermind of masterminds. You orchestrator of deception. You're a veritable concerto of webs. What are you up to, Spider?
See, I'm digging. It's very strange for the GM to be complimenting me rather than the other way around when I'm the one who wants to get what they want. But you left out Silver Tongue, which is actually the most important in this case, because I forgot I have the perk Silver Tongue.
All right.
If once per session, when I converse with an intelligent creature for at least 5 minutes, I learn one useful secret of the GM's choosing about the creature. Now, I don't know how intelligent our friend Stone Smasher is, but
he qualifies enough to be worrying you. How about that?
that's it. So I would love to know a useful secret about trust.
Ooh, that's interesting. Hang on a sec. I need to think about that because there are actually two background items that sort of rule this character. I think the one that you would probably, because for lack of it's the don't think about a blue pony. Well, automatically you sort of wonder that way. So just the process of why is he even here? Why would he have traveled all this way? I think it is probably of the most relevant. In his own way, Truss isn't that dissimilar from Lucas. Desperately wants to be the hero of the story. And so he's in... Yes, you feel called out. You're welcome. And so it's why would he be the one staking out the one place that you guys would never go? Because if it happens, he looks that much cooler, for lack of a better way of putting it. Right.
Yeah, okay.
He's the one always desperately trying to convince his teammates, if you will, that he's got the chops and he's the hero of the story. And so that's it.
Yeah, that works. Okay, so I say to him, listen, Truss. Fact of the matter is, I could give you the address, I could walk out of here, I could disappear, I don't need the cut. But I don't like bloodshed. And that kid and the girl's bodyguard, they're dangerous. And you and your team, you wouldn't come out of it unbloodied, though I think you'd captured a lot of them. If you do cut me in, I'll walk you right up to the place. I'll convince them to come out. They won't even know that you're there. How much better does it look if you return to Capital with everything they want, save a little arachnid, and all of your team unharmed?
I will require... You can decide whether or not it's going to be deception or persuasion, but that I think...
Oh, it's definitely deception.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a... And I think I'm actually going to give you advantage 1 because you are playing to the character's weakness, if you will.
Lovely. That's very reasonable of you.
Roll well, he nat 20'd.
I didn't roll badly, mate. I didn't explode, though.
Yeah. So I realized I rolled the wrong... so I rolled the wrong attribute dice, so that's a re-roll. So he's sitting at a 22. Where are you at?
27.
Okay, you may get away with this. Let me re-roll that 20 and see where it happens. A 12.
Yeah.
So he looks at you, says, I think it's an excellent plan. Let's, I'll tell you what, you wait here. I'll go get my mates. We'll walk, and you can walk us right over. I know where, the problem is they're all over the damn city. It's just going to be quicker for me to move. If you're here when you get back, I know I can trust you, right? He grins at you.
All right. Does he get up and leave?
Yeah, he's going to knock back the rest of his tankard, give you a nod, drop a couple of coins on the table to cover his tab, and walk out the door.
Yeah, and like as he's like walking, I pick up my ale and cheers at him, and like make it look like I'm taking a long drag, but I'm like barely sipping any.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, as soon as he's out the door, I book it. I'm like running straight back upstairs for the nearest window. Forget that.
All right then. Okay, so yeah, you'll bolt. Keep in mind, you have no reason.
Oh yeah, no.
You have.
I know. I've rolled a lot of bad dice right now.
Yeah, but yeah, for lack of a better way of putting it, and Spider is arrogant. He would have no reason to believe that his deception hasn't worked.
No, yeah, for sure.
All right.
But the thing is that once he leaves me alone, I might as well at least try to bolt because
Absolutely. I was just going to say, and I'm not even going to ask you to roll. Go ahead. You're just gone.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
I run up the stairs, out the window, and
at a different window than the first one you tried, and you're gone across the rooftops and into the dark, into the glittering darkness of Glitter Delta Cove. Below you, the streets are already starting to pack with people heading off to the various parties and theaters. Keep in mind, the entire point of Red Bricks originally, before it turned a slightly unseeming direction, was it was an area of theater, of arts and culture. The fact that some of those cultural venues have kind of dipped a bit is a different discussion, but there's a bloody huge amphitheater there, amongst other things. There's a huge cultural presence in the city, and particularly on a spring evening with the economy booming, everyone's got money to go out and party. So you're heading one way, and you can sort of see the crowd flowing almost the opposite direction as you make your way all the way back to the Winter Crystal P&B. So you're going to make it back unscathed, unopposed. What are you going to do when you arrive?
I knock on the window from the outside.
Funk, 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 says the window. Yeah.
Like, is this as we are still talking about the
I'm just going to say, so keep in mind, these two scenes are simultaneous.
Yeah.
And so you're wrapping up the entire bit about, but I still want to open it, thump, thump, thump.
It is really jumpy, huh?
almost drop the urn.
Just see my head up. I can't do it on the camera. Upside down, just knocking.
Okay. I'm gonna go over and open the window.
Oh, right. Fair enough, yeah.
Fuck it, just parkour in.
Welcome back.
Yep.
Right. I don't think any perception or read body language rolls are required for that expression.
You sighed, Jasper. You sighed. What did that mean?
Well,
Well, you remember how there was no one watching the blue skies? Mm-hmm. Well, now there are.
okay, but you weren't seen.
I wouldn't say that.
Okay, so you were seen, but they didn't catch you.
Say that either.
Okay,
Technically,
you were seen,
yes.
you were caught. What's happening?
I did have a short conversation with one of the people chasing after us, and I hold out the wanted poster for them.
Take it. Read it over.
Property?
I think that means Chevalier.
You're not property.
Certainly doesn't mean the 35 coins you paid me to get you out of the city.
When it comes to the Confederacy, that is how they view me, yes.
Was they wrong?
Doesn't change them viewing me that way.
So, do they know where we are? Do we need to leave?
No, I mean, I didn't tell them anything. The bloody dolt didn't even... Listen, the bounty hunter who's leading the people after us, he's a dangerous fellow, but not the smartest tool in the shed.
Looks at Lucas.
You know him.
But yeah, he's out of capital. Met him once or twice.
Do we have to move again?
I don't think so. He was dumb enough to think that I would give you all up. And so when he left to gather his troops, I just bolted.
I'm gonna look out the window just to check he hasn't been followed.
Bunch of faces pressed to the glass.
It's like, oh, there's nothing up. There's nothing there.
Yeah,
Ah, no.
Lucas does he starts to do this to get away from the window.
Just, Michelle, for your benefit, before whatever Chevalier is about to roll.
Yeah.
Isn't me leaning into my proud flaw. I have the untrackable feat,
Okay.
which literally says.
Yeah, there's.
I mean, I know that, like, I also
there's no.
rolled badly on some stuff, so we need to work out where the spot is in between. But
Yeah, to me, I was just going to say, so I think what is reasonable is that both conditions can be true. Spider is absolutely confident he couldn't have been followed. But he's also absolutely confident the other bloke fell for it.
Yeah, that's true. For sure.
That to me, that's perfect. That isn't conflictory and does not require die rolls.
There's also a difference between being tracked and being followed.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it says whether manifests as vines growing in your wake, magical ward against detection, illusory veil. The effect is the same. You are protected from being tracked. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I'm going to say that just simply because of your agility and your ability, your preternatural climbing skills, etc., your ability to navigate the high road at the breakneck speed you do means essentially you're just getting there, and they're not following you. They can try. They'll just wind up exhausted and behind you somewhere. So yes, no,
yeah, right.
And I think Spider absolutely. Again, I think his arrogance flaw is such that he also knows that about himself. There's no way they're not tracking this ship, sister. I mean.
Yeah, well, once I'm out, I'll be fine. Yeah, I mean that's why he bolted. He was just like, well, they can't find me once I'm on the rooftops.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm assuming I'm not. There's
no one there.
There's no one there.
I mean, I just thought it was funny. The first thing he does is check the window. No, the place is empty. Yeah.
Oh, ye of little faith.
Never hurts to be sure.
So what are we doing with this thing? And I just pick up the urn and start like throwing it from hand to hand.
No. Put it down.
Okay.
Oh.
And then I like pretend to drop it and grab it again.
Jasper,
we are fairly certain.
Can you hear it?
Oh, if he can hear it, I'm just.
And
that's it. He's out.
Yeah.
Chevalier's gone.
just yeets it out the window. No.
Just yeets himself out. Woo.
No.
And I hear it. And I look at the urn, and I look back at you, and it says, and I lift it to my ear, and I'm like, what's that little urn? Alexandri's going mad.
Funny.
Kill them all.
Your brother can hear it.
It's an urn. What do you mean? Do I hear it?
Lucas can hear
and
it.
then I like think for a second, and I look at Chevalier and back at Alexander, and I'm like, is this it?
What?
And I just like gently put it down, and I'm like, is it the song?
No.
Oh.
It might be the opposite, though.
Whatever is inside the urn is giving off.
Bum, 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 bum,
We're not doing that again.
Bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum.
No, that's enough out of you.
Whatever is inside, the impression that it is giving is sinister. Wrong.
You didn't open it.
No. We considered
You
it.
can hear
but
it.
Alexandre can hear it, and apparently Lucas can, as you can see, also hear it as well, which, to be honest, was what concerned me enough to consider opening it. But upon closer inspection, the way that urn is sealed suggests someone put a lot of effort into making sure whatever is inside it stays inside it.
Okay.
And I think we instead should leave it there.
I think that sounds reasonable. So we have a meeting with Equidian in a few hours. Or at least we should do if the message gets through.
Hopefully, I don't think it's going to be a good idea to go back to the blue sky.
I'm not. I don't. Yeah. Yes, I agree. That's not a good plan.
I think we need to find a new meeting point. A new Rachel Gray.
We can talk about that with them when we meet.
Spider, can you hear it?
No. I wasn't just making fun. I mean, I was making fun, but I wasn't also lying.
What's the difference between you and Lucas?
Well, we're different people.
Duh. What I mean is, what's... Why are you different? Why can you hear it and you can't hear it?
I don't know. Why can you hear it?
Well, I already hear music.
Well, I don't know, maybe I've just got very good hearing.
Not the sort of thing you just hear. This is not something that is audible. We are talking about something deeply magical.
Well, it's not like I chose to. I just tried to hear it. Maybe it wants me to hear it.
Yes. That is the
Yes.
implication, yes.
It has to.
The question is why? This is not something I could claim to be an expert of. It's not something I have ever heard. But I have now traveled with two people who were selected by the song. But I have never, when I was last traveling, no one else ever heard it. No one else had any indication. But now, with this group, we have had the business with the wall, seeing the lizard folk blacksmith. We had this river event that I'm not sure was the song or done to the song, but both are equally concerning. And now
Really,
you
I
can
just
hear
thought
it.
that was Alexandri trying to give Charles Rajak a run for his money.
I don't get that reference.
Forget about it.
Lucas, it is not a bad thing. I don't think. If you can hear it.
I don't see it as a bad thing.
But
I
for what I know about the song, it does not appear to people without purpose. It is not something you just try to hear. It is selective. It chooses. If you can hear it, it is because the song wants you to. And I don't know what that means.
Well, I guess we wait and find out. Because I don't know.
It is certainly interesting, though. Mr. Kilcare, when did you tell Rachel we would meet them?
I would have picked some time in the middle of the night because I know that's when they like to operate. So
Well, yeah, I was just going to say. So the catch is it's like, well, like I say, they literally are operating at 1 or 2 dice disadvantage on everything during daylight. So oddly enough, they prefer not to do business under those conditions. So yeah, I mean, you know, your midnight is their noon, and vice versa. Generally speaking, the fact that Aquidian strolled into the bar to meet you folks at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever it was, is or it was sort of middle of the morning. You get full sunlight. Well, that's the reason he had the big cloak and the big hat and the big gloves and the everything was covered up as much as he could, including literal sunglasses, so that he could have even odds of functioning. So yeah, I mean, sort of. So what time did you tell him to meet? Yeah, it's mid-evening now, trending towards late evening.
Yeah, I think like midnight.
All right. All right. So a couple of hours from now, you've got to be over at the. And where are you meeting? Same place as always, or somewhere different?
Yeah, I think so. I would have said the same, like just the usual place is all I would have said.
I'm just gonna say, yeah. I mean, there's something thematic about meeting a bunch of ebon elves with a doom urn in a graveyard, right?
Sounds like Clue.
You're hoping.
The Ebon Elves with the urn in the graveyard.
Knives Out, anybody? So yeah.
Leon Giannis edition.
While we're walking,
I would make sure I was carrying the urn.
All right. So you guys have got a couple of hours to obviously to spare. What do you? Do you just want to time skip to the up to the point where you're supposed to be heading over to the, or do you guys have a scene you want to do collectively? About 20 minutes left, by the way, in play.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything interesting there for me. Just
didn't have
some
anything.
food and then.
All right, fair enough.
I do want to pull Alexandria aside at some point.
All right.
Probably on the way.
Yeah, sure. On the walk over, you'll have a chat.
Yeah.
That makes sense. All right. So,
Alexandria.
Yes.
So, you know that vision, that river?
Yes.
Do you think the song did that?
I think the song was trying to get your attention. Yes.
Why me?
I have no idea, actually. Maybe because you're scared of it?
That doesn't make me any less scared of it.
You know what's more scary than having the song around? When it's suddenly not around.
Why?
You get used to it.
You hear it all the time.
Either I'm either I'm hearing it or I think I'm hearing it. But when we were in the river, I couldn't hear it at all. I don't think that was for me.
Thank you. Just, don't you ever have questions about why?
Yes.
Like, what does it want?
Right now? I don't know what it wants right now, but what I do know is it wants me to go that way, and she points in the direction she's told to go.
Yes. In this particular case, it would be roughly northeast.
So that's where I'm going.
And you trust it?
Yes. Entirely.
What
That doesn't-
Chevalier said, hearing that urn and hearing I don't know if I trust it.
I don't trust what's in the urn. That's
No,
not what I meant.
I don't know if I trust the song.
Why?
That river. A lot happened that day. And I've spent every moment trying my hardest to forget it.
What happened?
We were caught in a flood. And Jasper almost lost his life.
Did it happen that way? Exactly that way?
Not quite. I mean, I was a lot younger and I didn't have my... Well, I had a whole leg. In fact, that was the day I lost my leg.
And you survived. And Spider survived. How do you
just
know
don't-
it?
I don't understand why the song would bring that up.
Maybe it was there.
Maybe. Maybe.
So what is Spider and Chevalier chatting about on the stroll over?
I don't know if they are, because Spider would be back in costume as Laramie, and and sticking to the shadows and just like trailing the group. And
All right.
Ballet is probably like on alert, essentially.
Fair enough. So you will arrive at the Lake of Ancestors at the appointed hour, just around midnight. Brilliant. If I remember the calendar correctly, let me double check this. It is the 4th, trending towards the 5th currently. Of Yggdrasil. Reminder that the Fisher celebration starts on the 6th. So you've got a mostly, two mostly visible moons. So there's a ton of moonlight beaming down from the sky. One moon's 3/4 full. Another moon is half. So there's a ton of moonlight beaming down. The weather has been fair all day, so there's only the odd moment where one or both of the moons is covered by cloud. The area around you, of course, is luminous. The fish jump, and there's these sparkles that ripple out on the water. There is this obvious green barrier that glows around the walls everywhere that vegetation has begun to grow around the walls. There's this literal green, I don't want to call it glow, is almost understated. It's almost an effervescence, as though there's the little shimmering dance, almost like fire, like a carpet of fireflies or a curtain of fireflies that engulfs all of these areas that is that's marked as a glow on the map. There's going to be the heron call, by the way, is probably one of the most cantankerous sounds you'll ever get to hear. It is not a songbird. One of them is complaining bitterly about the behavior of its neighbor currently. There'll be a warning call of a goose at one point from somewhere off in the darkness. And yeah, you will find. Are you planning on arriving early, on time, a bit late? Last time you guys had specifically gotten there a little bit early, so you could case the joint, right?
that's right.
Sam, you are muted.
Probably the same again, I imagine.
Okay. So arriving.
Unless anyone else has.
I would do whatever Chevalier says to do at this point.
Okay. All right. So you guys will arrive a few minutes early. And much as before, you'll have a few minutes to stand there by yourselves, kind of enjoying the sights and stuff. What's going on at Spider's Head at this point? What's the thought process?
I think there's a lot of like self recrimination going on, that like he wasn't checking properly when he arrived at the blue skies. He should have checked better, in the fact that he didn't put a disguise on before going in, all of that stuff. He's just like, he got too confident off the high of stealing the urn so easily.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's a lot of that, and then he's just trying to be like hyper vigilant while
All right.
looking out for the crew.
Mm-hmm. What's going on with Alexandria? What's tumbling around in her head?
The idea that the song has been kind of keeping an eye on Lucas
Mm-hmm.
is what's getting in there now.
All right. Yep.
And basically, come join me. Come to the light.
You sure it's not
Welcome.
the dark side? They have cookies. Cool.
Welcome to the light of the dark side.
Chevalier, what's going on in that mechanical processing facility of his?
The primary thing is that we've had this run-in with the people who are after us.
Mm-hmm.
So he is being very sort of. He suspects, like he trusts that Spider is more than capable of losing them, but that's not reason enough not to be careful at this point.
Yep.
there's a little thought put to like the urn and this thing with Lucas, but that's not what he's focusing on right now. Like
Right.
that's,
Okay.
you know, that's a thought process for later.
Lucas. What's going on in Lucas's head?
Lucas is currently going through the process of building that wall up, that soldier's wall, because he's got to go meet with a bunch of people about an urn. But essentially, he's, he's just had a big shock to his own memories of that day, and they've kind of been flipped on the head with another perspective. And what it's done is, rather than eased his mind, it's made it worse. So it's kind of like seeing things through a different light kind of reveal some new facets. But he also has a job to do, so he's going through the process of like, that's a future Lucas problem that he'll probably journal about later.
All right. So a few minutes later, a familiar trio of forms, one tall, one not so tall, and one not tall at all, can be seen strolling down the lane from the main gate towards where you are. As always, they're just, for lack of a better way of putting it, it seems to be whatever it is about these three, they've either got incredibly good tailors, or it's just that, you know, they have a family trait, flowing cloak +1. And so a few moments later, they arrive. Aquidian pulls his cowl back, and big smile. Well, how are my favorite new friends?
We have done what you asked.
Excellent. And
I look to Chevalier.
What are you going to do, is it?
he smiles in the least reassuring way I think Alexandre has ever seen, and says, "Put it somewhere safe." You are muted again.
Does
Sam. Try again.
Hello?
Yep. There
Yes, we can hear
There
you.
you are.
This is not just some urn, is it?
Aquidian smiles for a moment. I mean, Spider doesn't need to roll. Aquidian's playing at this point in time. He smiles and says, "It absolutely is just some urn." Now, please understand, it's a piece of artwork that is a rare example of my people's culture. But at the end of the day, it's just an urn.
Spider steps out of the shadows and says, It's not the urn that's valuable, though.
It's what's inside the urn. Though valuable, perhaps not the correct word.
Jazina will hold her hand up, forestalling any answer that Aquidian might have had, rapier wit at the ready, and says, "Is there a problem?"
Not as far as I can tell. I just wish you'd told me about the Nightingale floor.
She smiles. Let's be honest. If we gave you every bloody detail, it's not a very good test, is it? Honestly, I'm very impressed. And our mistress would be more than happy to meet with you at some future date to discuss options. I believe, however, that you wanted a safe house. Is that not correct? Again, this isn't Aquidian speaking. This is Jazina,
Yeah.
a.k.a.
With
Rick.
the urn If the urn gets us the safe house, it's yours.
That was the deal. She gestures towards Equidian, and he nods absolutely deferentially.
Yeah.
So he will extend his hands.
I take his hand.
No,
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's in the urn. Is what,
Oh, right. I thought he was handshaking.
no, pass it over.
This is Drew, like, in isolation. I just want a hand to shake.
Please, somebody touch me.
Let's do some human contact.
Yeah, so Chevalier steps up. Mm-hmm. Whatever is inside this urn is dangerous.
Oh, absolutely.
From the little, someone clearly went to a lot of trouble to make sure that it would remain sealed. I hope that work was not wasted. And he hands it to the.
Yeah, Zedreza kind of. She's wearing essentially a cavalier-style hat instead of a hood, and it's literally kind of rubbing at her forehead. We're not going to level the city with some accursed blight of raging demonic fire or something. It's okay. It's literally going in a safe place. She actually is kind of unslings a pack, takes a very ornate oak box out of it, takes the urn from Equidian, puts it in the box, liberally puts what looks to be a mixture of beeswax around the wood, drops the lid onto it, leans on it a bit, and puts it into the backpack and slings the pack. I don't know what you people think we are.
Honestly, I wouldn't care if you did, as long as you waited for us to be out of the city.
I would have thoughts. But at the same time, my assumption was that you were going to put it somewhere safe.
Do you know what's inside?
Are you asking generally or Zedreza?
I'm asking generally of the three, because someone's going to tell us.
They all look at each other for a moment, and I think Spider is going to notice the slight shake of the head of Jazina. And Equidian says, our mistress does, and that's more than enough for me. I don't need to know all the information, I just need to know what it is I need to do. Kind of like you.
A good way of doing business, that.
Prevents embarrassing moments, doesn't it? Now, about the safe house, says Equidian. Tomorrow, the easiest way to do this is unfortunately to do it at the worst possible time for you. I know it's time. I know you folk don't function very well at 6 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning. It's only going to be about 4 hours. But there is a small skiff at the dock, the Iron Lancet. You will reach into a bag, take out basically it's an embossed piece of wood that's got some, embossed is the wrong term. No, actually it is. It's an embossed piece of leather that has had pieces of exotic and pretty woods inlaid into it. It's a fantastically, awkwardly complicated piece of leather work. And then that has been, and then the wood itself has been very carefully worked. Now, Spider will glance at that and say that's practically unforgeable, and then he's immediately going to think of Alexandria's ability to printing press whatever it is she sees. But take that, Iron Lancet, 5 in the morning. Be there or be left behind. They do one run every 2 days. They will recognize that. I had absolute faith in you, my friends, he says. And so I've already informed the captain that he will be expecting four travelers, one of them kind of side-eyes Chevalier, large and heavy, and you'll be taken. It's about about 7 hours upriver. With the spring with the river at flood right now, there's a few shortcuts you can take, but it's still a long ways. You'll be out of the city, comfortably out of the city, and by almost 100 kilometers by tomorrow. By this time tomorrow, and it's a very nice little estate. What's currently an island, of course. You can relax. The liquor cabinet is entirely open. The staff have already been warned that there will be guests of the family, and the mistress has already said word that you are to be treated as family. Cousins, in fact.
And your mistress, she will come to meet with us then?
If time and tide, as it were, permit, she's a very busy woman. Appearances and all that. Particularly at this time of the year, so much going on in the city. So many little spider webs to play with.
Alexandri dips a curtsy and says, "Thank you."
Well, we don't need to keep you any
Will
longer.
it be your mistress that, well, the suggestion, as I understood it, was that the urn was a test for something else.
Yes.
Is that a conversation to have with your mistress?
Well, quite frankly, at the point you need to hide for a few days, I don't see much point in discussing future work with you until you're ready to undertake it. I'll probably be out day after tomorrow. We can chat then if there's anything you want to undertake in the meantime. But enjoy the couple days.
I look forward to your company.
He sweeps a dramatic bow, because it just seems to be that Equidian can't do anything with +1 drama. So yes, Iron Lance at 5 a.m. Don't be late. He will glance over at Zedreza, who will give a bow, rearrange her hat, and walk off into the darkness, with Jazina following her, in fact. Jazina, by the way, Spider can immediately see. Jazina is going off at an angle. If anyone plans on bothering Zedreza, they're going to get blindsided in the worst possible way. And Equidian will turn and stroll off the way he came. Leaving you four standing in the dark in, Barrow Lake. And I think that's an excellent place to wrap the scene for this evening. Or this morning, or this afternoon, as you please.
Whenever you listen.
Yep. A time zone near you, yes, by definition. So, that's it for today, folks. So for the folks watching currently or on the VOD, the plan is for an on-time start next week, and we're going to try going for 4 hours, not 3. We've
I
decided...
think not next week, Michelle.
Not next week. The week after.
Week after, all right.
Yeah.
So next week is a regular schedule. Week after that, we're going to try a 4-hour shot. We're finding these sessions just a smidge thin, and, well, so much story to tell. So, yeah. Alrighty. So we'll see you at the usual time next week. But it's goodbye time for today. Jamie, who are
It's
you?
me.
Where do we find you?
I'm Jamie Collette. You can find me on Twitter at Muffin Manifesto or on my website, jamie-collette.com. I'm a professional voice actor, and that website has just recently been a little revamped, which is nice. Also, I encourage you to check out facebook.com/streamed Shakespeare, where I will be playing Bassanio in the upcoming Merchant of Venice, which is our first fully rehearsed, fully memorized production performed via Zoom. But yeah, there's numerous shows there that I've either directed or performed in over the last few months.
Okay. Sam.
Hello, I'm Sam. You can find me on Twitter at @the_RealSammyP. Former voice actor. The last thing I did a little while ago was a town called Prodigal on the Penny Peep Show. That do radio drama style shows. There's a few more out since then as well, and I definitely recommend all of them. You can also find me here on Paddington Prowler, on Monday, and just recently started also on Aternium Gate on Wednesday, if I have the time zones correct.
Okay.
Because those aren't the days that it is for me. But I think it's the days for most other people and what is advertised.
Yeah, sounds right to me. Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Drew.
Hi and bye. I'm Drew. You can find me at Drew Wilson. I write things, and I am an actor, and I do puppetry. I'm probably going to write something this week though for Lucas. I've chucked that on a WordPress blog. So that's Tales from the Tavern talesfromthetavern.wordpress.com.
Mm-hmm.
Can we find Lucas's poetry there as well?
Yeah, I'll chuck
Please.
that up.
Yes.
I'll pop the letters and the poetry up there.
I don't have anywhere to put my song, but we'll work something out.
We can pop that up
Find
there
somewhere.
too.
You can put it on World Anvil if nowhere else.
I was just
Oh,
gonna
I
say-
can go on Word Anvil, that's true.
Actually, if you folks want to send me those text files, I will put a culture section up and not put your information in it.
Yeah. actively not put it in the culture set. Make it so it cut to those, so we know that they've been excluded.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Sounds like a great idea.
And then, all right, Chantel.
I am Chantel B. You can find me at Chantel B on Twitter. You can find me at wordswithcolor.com, which is my website. You can. Oh, I'm an actor. Like I often talk about being a writer, but I also do act. That's weird. I'm often ranting on Twitter about my PhD and about the making sure that TTRPG writers are paid what they deserve.
Yes.
At the moment, that's my big thing. I have a
She's
box and I'm standing on it.
She's on a crusade, folks.
Art deserves to be paid for.
Yes.
Your art is worth things to people. Sorry, I'll get off my little box here and save it for Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name, and everyone else watching as well, my name is Michel Vaillancourt. I'm the storyteller games master for this great group of folks. You can catch up with me on Twitter, as it says right about there, at MichelV69. You can, yes, exactly, Sam. You can also catch up with me Sunday mornings, 9 to 2 p.m. gaming here on Twitch, where basically I talk about the job and work that becomes that's just part and parcel of being a storyteller and games master. Last week's session was fantastic. I didn't so much do a stream as a podcast, that it just happened to have a video element. It was fantastic. Hoping tomorrow's just as good. Come on, drop in, ask questions. That's what we're here for. Last but not least, of course, Do Respite production, Do Respite Media, is the brainchild of Eric, who believes very heavily in investing in stories. So thank you very much for your support. If you're not already a follower, please follow. If you're not already a subscriber, and you've got that option, particularly with Amazon Prime, please do consider it. It helps. It helps so much in resources to keep things what we're doing here worth doing. Appreciate all your support, no matter how you give it. Catch up with us next week. Thank you for joining us. And for this week, that's it. We're done. Goodbye, folks. Bye-bye.